This network, CNN, is in the news this morning. CNN News Group Chairman Tom Johnson has retracted a June 7th report that said U.S. Special Forces used nerve gas in 1970 on American defectors in Laos. Johnson asked First Amendment attorney Floyd Abrams to investigate our handling of that story after the report was called into question. CNN's Bruce Morton has more now on the report.
The report's main finding is simple. CNN's conclusion that the United States used nerve gas during the Vietnam conflict on a mission in Laos designed to kill American defectors is insupportable. CNN should retract the story and apologize.
We concluded that CNN had done a lot of work, had gathered a lot of information, knew a lot, but didn't know enough to go on the air with this story.
In response, Tom Johnson, CEO of the CNN networks, issued a statement which said in part, CNN alone bears responsibility for both the television reports and for the printed article in the June 15th issue of Time magazine. We acknowledge serious faults in the use of sources who provided Newsstand with original reports and therefore retract the Tailwind story.
The original show, which ran on June 7th, ran with a lot of hype and hoopla and a lot of promotion that served to carry these allegations all around the world. And I hope that CNN is as energetic in making this retraction.
The Abrams report said there was no intent to deceive. We have found no credible evidence at all of any falsification of an intentional nature. The CNN journalists believed in every word they wrote. In fact, the report says they may have discounted contrary information, quotes which disagreed with their story, precisely because they were so firmly persuaded that what they were broadcasting was true. For example, Admiral Thomas Moore asked if Operation Tailwind proved CBU-15 nerve gas an effective weapon, said,
"Yes, I think that was already known."
CNN used that, but asked again, it was the first time the U.S. ever used nerve gas in combat. How much awareness do you have of this? Moore, none. That wasn't used. Additionally, the Abrams report notes that Moore is 87, his statements are sometimes hypothetical, and that CNN's Pentagon correspondent raised the issue of Moore's use in the piece before the broadcast. Moore, again, I'm not confirming for you that it was used. You told me that. That statement wasn't used either. Another example, Captain Eugene McCarley led special operations in Laos. The broadcast quoted him on nerve gas.
I never, ever considered the use of lethal gas, not on any of my operations.
But he also said the mission had nothing to do with American defectors. That statement was not used. The two pilots who flew the planes that dropped the gas denied it was nerve gas. They were not quoted. A medic who said the gas was tear gas was not quoted.
I said, I want the bad of the bad.
Robert Van Buskirk, second in command, was quoted.
I'm running, I'm shooting, and quickly I'm throwing up, I'm unable to breathe.
But the Abrams report notes, as the CNN broadcast did not, that Van Buskirk wrote a book about the incident which never mentioned nerve gas nor defectors, that his statements in different interviews with CNN were inconsistent, and that his own knowledge of what sort of gas was used was limited. And he said he had been taking drugs for a nervous disorder for 10 years, though he finally stopped. The Abrams report sums up, a decision was made by CNN to broadcast accusations of the gravest sort without sufficient justification and in the face of substantial, persuasive information to the contrary. CNN CEO Johnson said, we are taking vigorous steps to strengthen our internal procedures to assure that mistakes of this type do not occur in the future. Bruce Morton, CNN Atlanta.
Rudy Gresham is a spokesman for the Special Forces Association, the Green Berets. He was a Green Beret captain himself, but was not involved in Operation Tailwind. He joins us this morning from Orlando to talk about the Tailwind story, its retraction, and its impact as well. Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us this morning. We understand that you have spoken with Admiral Moore. Can you tell us what he feels now about the retraction?
Well, first of all, good morning, Leon. The Admiral is somewhat relieved, and what we would like to make sure that we have the opportunity to not only tell the American people, but also the world, that this story never, ever happened. And it's been very, very difficult on the Admiral because, you know, in his wildest dream, he never figured he would be reinterpreted or misquoted as he did, and I think it was a grave injustice done. The other comment on your program was Captain McCarley and his wife. What those people went through in North Carolina and talking with the people, you know, here we have an American hero and all of a sudden he was turned into a villain. And I believe this was one of the worst atrocities on journalism that I've ever recalled.
Well, can you tell us exactly what he did go through? Did he suffer any repercussions? And same question for Admiral Moore as well.
Yes, both of them. Let me put it to you this way. First of all, the Admiral, in talking with Mrs. Moore, and when I flew to Washington and I sat down, when the Admiral asked me to be a spokesperson, I had to get the facts. The Admiral asked me at that point, Rudy, would you represent me? And before I could say anything, the first thing I indicated to the Admiral, I'll fly to D.C. and I'll talk with you, sir. But let me, I need to talk to him face to face. We spent quite a bit of time together. I talked to his wife, and she even indicated to me how difficult their lives have been because he was misquoted in the retirement complex where they were living. It was very, very difficult. And he says, Rudy, I never, ever to Peter Arnett confirmed the use of nerve gas and never confirmed the mission of defectors. And he says, I don't know how they come up with these conclusions. In retrospect to the Colonel McCarley, well, I'm going to tell you, the Colonel got to the point where when he was with us in Albuquerque, he felt comfortable because he was with us, Special Forces brothers. But he has lived in his hometown in North Carolina. I'd rather not say the town. And he's lived there. His family's lived there. And all of a sudden here he has children, grandchildren. His mother, his wife's family live there. And he is marked as a war criminal. And during those few weeks, he went through some very difficult times because people were questioning him. Was this true? And I mean, he couldn't believe that this would happen.
Well, then can you explain to us then what might be the motivations of the sources that we spoke with who did confirm these things, for instance, Mr. Van Buskirk?
Well, first of all, let me clarify. Mr. Van Buskirk, in my opinion, is a sick person. He was a Special Forces soldier, and he served his country well during the combat period of time. But I don't know. It seems like he is talking like an imbalanced person. I watched him on the Fox network, and he said the complete opposite what he saw on CNN, and none of it added up. I mean, the man has zero credibility with anybody. And then there's the other one, Jim Cathy, who is a Baptist minister. I had his 201 file. It never happened. I don't know how Mr. Cathy can even live with himself of saying the things he said, because we proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that he was no part of the operation.
All right, Rudy Gresham, we thank you very much for your time this morning, and we appreciate your speaking with the Admiral, and we appreciate your views this morning. Thank you very much. We must also add that in the wake of the retraction issued yesterday by CNN, employees who were involved with putting that report together have been let go and are no longer with the company. And there have also been a number of other changes underway here at the network. More on that to come. The full text of the Abrams report on the retracted CNN story, The Valley of Death, is now on the web. You can find it at CNN.com. Tailwind Findings.